As Chad likes to say, and away we go. It is a live Galactic Fried Chicken nightcap here on Bearcat Journal. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com on Android, iPhone. Go to the website. There you will place your order. They will deliver anywhere inside the 275 loop. Or you can go down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15% on all of that galactic goodness. It is out of this world. Speaking of out of this world, we played Space Tech tonight, Keegan. We played Space Tech. Came out victorious as the Cincinnati Bearcats win on the road 76-74 against those UCF Knights. And Chad is doing the volleyball dad thing, so Keegan is filling in his stead. I am apparently at the controls here, so we'll see how that goes. But
I think Space Tech is the nicest thing that you and Chad have called UCF since I've joined the beat. It's a lot of Howard Johnson Community College, a lot of like hospitality U.
Russ, real quick in the chat here, I still have no clue what a foul is. None. Even less tonight than maybe I did after the last game here. So
when I tweeted about CJ, like saying when he said me was hilarious, and I tweeted that joking because I was like, oh, they're just going to take that foul away, so everything will be fine.
Sure didn't.
Are they allowed to reverse a common foul if they're reviewing a flagrant?
I don't actually know the answer to that.
That's the only way that's explainable. There's no way you can look at that and then. But
if you're taking the time to actually stop play to review, though, I would think that it would be able to reverse that call at that point in time. But I don't know. Either way, got a hell of a makeup call at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's where if it was just Aziz coming down, I think the ref probably calls it. But Johnson very clearly launched, and that's where as a ref, you kind of have to go, I'm not letting the game be decided on that. Which it was it a 1-point game at that point? No, but that was after CMOS's 2. So it was a 3-point game. They would have went to the line to tie.
Right.
So the broadcast said like that's the ref not wanting to make it all about him, not wanting to decide the game, which is understandable. I think they got away with one, in all honesty. Like you said, it was a makeup call, but I mean, it was a really tough night for Darius Johnson all over the place. I think he was averaging 17 points a game through his last 4, was going off. So that was a big thing for them to slow him down.
Look, if Cincinnati is on the other end and shooting that 3 to try and tie the game up, I can't imagine the fan base's reaction to that. Yeah. But it's rare as a Cincinnati fan of all things, Cincinnati, to see Cincinnati be on the receiving end of a call like that ever.
Yeah.
In anything.
In
Bearcats basketball, in Bearcats football, in the Reds, in the Bengals, in anything. There's Chad. Chad, when was the last time you saw Cincinnati get a call like that in anything? Not just Bearcats, but anything Cincinnati, to get a call like that or no call like that at the end. A favorable decision.
Very rarely. Very rarely. I'll take it. I'm not complaining.
Agreed. How's volleyball going for you?
They have won their first.
And then?
No. Cannot hear you.
All right, there we go.
There we go.
And we lost him. Just like that. He was gone.
ESPN's making cuts. BCJ's making cuts. It's all happening.
I'm back. I'm back. You weren't supposed to bring me in that quick. I was getting my headphones set up, but yeah. They won their first 2 games. They are 2-0, and they play for the pool play championship here in about 30 minutes. So I don't have a lot of time, but I thought I would pop in and say hello after a victory. If they lost, you guys weren't going to see me. I'll tell you that.
All right. Well, if we only have you that quick, your thoughts on the 76-74 road win by the Bearcats?
I wasn't as dialed in the first half as usual because I was their first game started at tip off. So trying to do both, but I paid as much attention as I could. And kudos to the staff. They thought they went back and watched that first UCF game and felt that the small ball lineup was what gave them separation in the second half. And they went to it tonight and stuck with it. It produced, a game that they pretty much controlled all the way until the end. And, credit to UCF. They made some plays down the stretch to get back in it. I really thought that segment where they had the CMOS bad pass turnover, and then on the next possession, Day turned it over. I thought that really swung momentum. And UCF found a couple things. Shamari Allen going downhill, and then they're a point guard kind of playing without a ball screen and just going right at Cincinnati's point guard towards the rim. I thought that gave them some life. But credit to Cincinnati for sticking it out. And look, man, we've seen it a million times where you come back from a 14-point deficit, you've got the momentum. And you get to that point where you can take over the game at the end, and they usually do. And Cincinnati stemmed the tide and kind of stood toe-to-toe in the ring, and they got a call, and they won the game. So, credit to the guys, credit to the staff for a good game plan going in there and getting out of there. Look, win by 1, get on the plane, baby.
Yeah, come back from Orlando to snowy Cincinnati. A very good welcome back. I thought the most significant part of the game, besides the run at the start, which is so big to do on the road in the Big 12, but there was a long sequence where it was Jizzle and Josh, CMOS, Aziz, and Dan. So no John or Day on the floor for a while. And that lineup was able to stand pat. They were able to score decently. They were able to hold UCF from really coming back. And then John and Day come back in, and I think UCF goes on a 6-0 run there like immediately. So I think that bench lineup's ability to keep UCF at arm's distance at most part, I thought that was a huge segment there.
I hated Josh Reed's minutes today, but that's just me.
He played really well. So I don't know what to tell you. He played really well. I thought UCF had a good game plan in that they were not allowing, for the most part, they were not putting Day and John in situations to beat ball screens. Like they just said, look, we learned the first time, and this is the chess match that you're going to see now because you're in, 4 of the next 6 games are against teams you've played twice. And this was the first repeat matchup of the year. Teams now have seen what you do. They know what you're good at. I credit Johnny Dawkins and his staff for saying like that gave us problems. So we're going to go away from it. And a lot of times they just turned down the ball screen and went the opposite way and left kind of, they took away what has been the strength of Cincinnati's defense. So, kudos to them for that because I thought it was effective in keeping Cincinnati's defense kind of out of what makes them really good. But it also played into, Keegan, to your point, I think that's where Jizzle's good is just playing straight up on-ball defense.
Welcome to being a member of this channel, Chris Carper. We appreciate it.
That's one of the problems Jizzle has had is getting caught up on screens. So if they're just not going to use the screen and you're going to let him just play one-on-one straight, guard the ball defense, he's pretty good at that. Like, he's got the strength, he's got the lateral quickness. So I thought it was something that took away what Day-Day's really good at, but it played into what Jizzle does well. So I thought that was an interesting part of the chess match that we saw today with Johnny Dawkins.
Yeah, and Shamari Allen and Darius Johnson are good, but they're no Taman Lipsey. I mean, we saw Taman Lipsey give Jizzle some issues in that one-on-one, man-to-man, but it was a good break for this defense to go against this pretty bad UCF offense and kind of get a rest day, even though they scored 70-plus points. But, yeah, it was offensive rebounding, too. I mean, that was ridiculous. Dan going up, Aziz going up, Josh Reed got some big boards, especially at the end. I think there were a couple in the last 2 or 3 minutes.
Jamil.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of them ended in points, but I think it was more just establishing yourself in the paint and like playing to your identity. And that's what's kept them in games. And then when you make your free throws and when you hit just a couple more shots, that's what puts you over the top.
Crazy how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's never easy for this team.
No.
It's never easy.
How about Aziz stepping up and nailing 2 free throws?
3 of 4.
3 of 4 to end the game. That was crazy.
3 of 5 on the day.
Better than the guards.
Dan.
Dan finished a plus 19. On the other side of that, CJ Frederick finishing a minus 18.
Yeah, he didn't play a lot.
He got picked on when he was in. They went right at him with Shamari Allen and that either catching him on the ball screen or turning down the ball screen. And there was one time he was hugged up to the center. Shamari Allen just went the other way. He just left out the back door.
Yeah.
And CJ was caught on the screen. That didn't happen. You can't have that. Not great, Bob.
Then Josh Reed comes in and plays his
Josh
butt
was
off.
much better at it, much better defending than CJ was today, for sure.
I did love the immediate heat check from him after his first 3 in like a month. Just goes up.
Let's go. I want more aggressiveness from Josh Reed shooting open shots.
Yeah.
I'll agree to that.
Oh gosh. I did the Shamari Allen dunk on Aziz was something that was pretty strong. I thought he was going to get a T because he was like
he should have gotten a T. He almost put him in a headlock afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, he also pulled CJ Frederick to the ground and didn't get a flagrant. So after a review as well.
He got away with 2 fouls. So the fact that he fouled out when he did, he was lucky. He was on borrowed time anyway.
I mean, if he gets a T on Aziz and gets called for that flagrant, that puts him he would have had 4 with like 9 minutes left or something like that. When that happened,
it was like the big guy here in Cincinnati when he played 7 minutes and fouled out.
Oh yeah, Diallo. He played 6 minutes the entire game. A starter playing 6 minutes. Oh gosh.
How was the Grail? Did you guys already cover that?
Oh no, it was awesome. I've never been to the Grail for a UC football or basketball game, and how that place was packed out for a game at UCF was pretty crazy. So yeah. I don't know I need to look this up. I know we talked about this, Chad, but the rest of the Saturday away games, Saturday, February 24th at TCU. So next Saturday, this upcoming Saturday. I think that's going to be.
I'll get with Jimmy. We'll probably run it back. And apparently I'm not allowed to go. I'm out. You're in.
I'll tell you what. I went with the spicy garlic wings and the chicken parm. That chicken parm was pretty freaking good.
They have good they have good food.
The wings
we always go
What's Kelsey's record at these watch parties though, Chad?
I mean, she's always there with me, so whatever my record is her record. Generally.
I was going to say this season, if she was undefeated, then that might be your out, but it doesn't sound like that's the case.
Well, we haven't done a basketball one yet. So today was the first basketball one, and Keegan is 1-0.
I don't know that you're necessarily ruled out then.
I mean, Jimmy from the Grail said, I'm out and Keegan's in.
Well,
and he owns the Grail. So
that's fair.
Biggest story from this game. I am now 1-4 in my predictions. Just saying.
I mean, you were in trouble if they lost.
I didn't know that when I bet on them, Keegan.
I was waiting for the first person. Like, if they had lost, I was going to wait for the first person to start a thread, like 100% serious. Like, Keegan, stop predicting the games.
Keegan, you're fired. Keegan, get out. Well, the problem wasn't that, Keegan. The problem was we told you the assignment during the BCJ pod, and you ignored us.
Yeah. It's a prediction.
That's insubordination, I think is what it's called, right, Aaron?
That's my
I'm not the boss.
My number one skill is to defy Chad's orders for me.
It's above my pay grade.
Let's see how that works out for you. It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Oh gosh.
But all in all, I mean, look, the season was on the line. Like, you were not going to go 5-1 over your final 6. You had to get this one. You have to get Wednesday. Have to.
Yeah.
And that gets you back to 6 and 7, and it puts you in striking distance down the stretch.
I think the bigger deal for Cincinnati is the fact that same storyline could be used for UCF, that the season was on the line when their record is the exact same. They have some pretty big upset wins against Kansas. I mean, it's all for naught.
Their problem was they lost too much in the non-conference, so they just didn't have the enough wins. Probably they had too many losses and not enough wins to overcome it. But I mean, if they were going to have any chance, they had to hold serve at home in that game.
Yeah.
Chad, who are you more comfortable saying that UC can go on the road and beat, Oklahoma or TCU?
Oklahoma.
Okay.
Especially
TCU
today.
Yeah. Do you feel like they stole the TCU game at Fifth Third?
I don't know that they stole it. They made a couple more plays down the end than TCU did, which how many times have we seen that go the other way against Cincinnati? So, no, I don't think they stole it, but I do think, you're in a position where you were trying to hold serve at home and it wasn't working, and you snuck one out. TCU at their place is going to be very difficult. I think Oklahoma's sliding. I mean, Aaron and I have been talking about that for 2 weeks, that, Oklahoma's kind of lost a little bit of their momentum, and it gets tough down the stretch. Once you lose that momentum, it's tough to pick it back up, to regain it, late in a physically grueling, grinding schedule, to get back on track. Today was their chance to do that.
Yes, it was.
And
they blew it.
They blew it. I mean, they had Kansas kind of
1-point lead.
Yeah, kind of dead to rights going into the half, and Kansas just blitzed them the final 22 minutes.
I don't know how a 7-man rotation overcomes a 10-point lead on the road in Big 12 play.
That shows tomorrow, Keegan.
Okay. What I will say is it is eerily similar, the TCU and UCF games. Final 2 minutes, TCU throws the ball away. Final 2 minutes, UCF throws the ball away. Just a horrible play.
I think that it was a horrible play, but it was also really good defense. Like, there was nowhere for them to go with the ball but over the top. None of the actions worked. None of the, secondary stuff was there. And that's just a stupid – I mean, you have to throw it. But to Aaron's point, Call a timeout. Like,
Did they
you had
have
one
one
in your pocket? Yeah, I thought they
Okay.
had one in their pocket at that point, didn't they?
Well, I know
know.
that at the
I don't know if they
end,
did.
at the end, Marcellus Avery tried to call one like after the missed
didn't
free
have any.
throw,
Yeah,
and they
it
didn't
should have
one.
been the Michigan.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have
situation.
mattered. I heard a whistle right near the end, and I thought that they'd called Dan for a foul, and
I did too. He had his hand up.
way. Yes, he went like that. It was something
Yeah.
like that, and I was like, no way they're going to call Dan for a foul. But
I
yeah.
still, somebody asked in the chat right at the beginning of the show, Chad, I still have no clue what a foul is in this conference.
Neither did the officials.
I saw the lock and pull. I mean, just what are we even doing?
Well, so
Jeez.
it wasn't a hook and hold, but it was a takedown. It was a body slam. I don't know how that's like. What about that is not a flagrant one?
I don't know.
I mean, what is it a flagrant one if he's 3 inches farther to the left and his head bangs off the ground and he gets a concussion? Does that make it a flagrant one?
Playing devil's advocate, I think the refs could have seen it as Allen was falling down. He grabbed CJ to try to not fall down, and then CJ.
That's not how physics works.
I'm just saying. I don't know if
that doesn't make it a foul on CJ.
Oh, I'm not saying it should have been a foul on CJ. I'm just saying to not call a flagrant one after review. It was probably Shamari was falling down, tried to hold on to CJ, didn't like maliciously pull him down, but
I mean, he pulled him down.
It wasn't malicious. There's a difference. That shot of CJ going, me? Was
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Really glad to see Edrin Sr. on the pod tonight. He's a bit younger than I remember and sounds a lot like you.
Yeah. I thought that was Drewski for a second.
Dude, so what? They just found a black guy with chains on?
Yes. A black guy in Cincinnati gear. And they said Edge.
Chains on. That's got to be Edge.
Apparently he was courtside. And he like the most identifiable guy there. And they just said, no, go deep in a suite behind 3 people. And that's him.
And they never went back to correct it.
No. I took some heat for this. I think BJ Taylor's awful.
The whole crew was awful.
I didn't know Day fouled out until I saw it after the game.
No,
I thought they just
because
were
BJ Taylor wouldn't shut up as it was happening for the play-by-play guy to like sort through. Everybody was huddled up. The fans are singing na 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 na, hey hey hey, and you can't figure out that somebody fouled out.
I shouldn't have to go back to the stats to see who's fouled out and who hasn't, or how many fouls there are. Like that should be something that they just tell you when you're watching.
That's a producer's job, in my opinion. So it's bad producing. It's bad commentary.
He's got the earpiece in.
Sure, but you have to have some level of game awareness as to what's happening as you're watching it with your eye. They give you pretty good seats, Keegs. They give you pretty good seats down there. The crowd is singing. The teams are huddled up. It's the most telltale sign that you should look at your stat sheet and go, who just fouled out?
It's also almost like every time there's a foul, your face should go to the big stat broadcast screen and say, okay, he has this many. Then when he commits another one, you can bring it up this many.
Easy, Chugs. Easy. It's a kid show. Fuck.
Is it?
Fuck. All right, boys. I think I got to head back in. How many punches would it take for you to knock out Zero from UCF?
That was the blonde, curly-headed kid that was their cheerleader. Funny story about that. My mom was watching the game with us. She came to visit, and they left after the game. But she was like freaking out about that kid. She thought he had a punchable face. And I'm like, Mom, he's the last. He's like the last kid on the bench. What are you getting so mad at this kid for? Oh man.
All right. Well, Aaron. I'm gonna listen while I'm watching this volleyball game. So just put me in the lobby if you would, please.
All right. If you want to come back on for some reason, throw me a wave that will distract.
I'll turn
me.
my camera back on if I want to come back on. How's that?
Fair enough. All right. See
You like
Chad.
my name? Instead of Volleyball Dad, I'm Volleyball Chad.
We got it.
We got it. Get wrecked. We got it. Okay.
Have a good show, boys.
We'll
Good
try. Let's see here.
All right. You want to break down some stats here, Keegan?
Yeah, that's what I just pulled up.
Here,
you go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing I noticed. Both teams scored 1.1 per possession. That's pretty high for Cincinnati. I would assume also pretty high for UCF. Didn't love the second chance points at 12 on 18 offensive rebounds, but I'll take it. Only 11 turnovers after 25. So they got that number down, although only turning it over on UCF 9 times. Those are just some things that stood out to me.
I think 11 against a top 20 defense is a really, really good number, all things considered. Now, there were you could say there was the opportunity for more, and you can say there was some self-inflicted, just hand it to him. I thought CMOS made some really good passes in the first half. And then in the second half, there were some where he was getting a little too greedy, kind of threw it away, threw it right to the UCF defender. It led to a tip ball, turnover, whatever. So I think there's some give and take there. A really quiet 13 points for Aziz. 3 of those come on the free throws late, and then I think they were attacking the alley-oop when they went to the zone. I think that was a big reason why UC didn't completely disappear at the end of the game when UCF went to the zone. And I think it's interesting. A lot of the times when they do that, it'll just be, CJ, CMOS, Day, John just kind of driving in the lane, and then you think it's a floater, and Aziz just comes out of nowhere. Like, you don't even really see him down there. He just kind of shows up and then dunks it on the alley-oop. So that's working, and I don't think I think there might have been one errant alley-oop attempt, when in most games it's been 3 or 4. It just looks really, really bad.
The lob was not their enemy today so much as it has been, correct?
No, because
that was early. The bad lob was early. That was from John, I think.
Yeah, it's like 4 or 5 possessions that you're just giving away because you can't execute a pretty easy play, all things considered.
You also shouldn't run it, though, unless it's there. You don't try to force it.
Darius Johnson, 6 for 17, 2 for 5 from 3, 16 points. Had averaged 17.7 through the past 4 games, so didn't allow him to really take over the game. Shamari Allen was someone didn't play in the last game, and he's been a consistent scorer. I think this was his 3rd game back. CJ Walker, 2 points, 1 for 5. That was big. Only pulled down 1 rebound, played 21 minutes, so he was pretty well neutralized. If I'm being honest, I don't even remember seeing him on the court. And he's like a freakishly athletic guy who's made a difference. His 3rd game back too. And then Jalen Sellers he's just a hooper. I think he's been struggling from 3 a little bit lately. Went 1 for 4 from 3, 6 for 13 from the field, 15 points in 34 minutes. Him and Shamari both playing 34. So, this UCF, it's an interesting offense in that they've really struggled, but they have some guys who can score.
Yeah, Marcellus Avery went off on us the last time, and I'm shocked that he only saw 13 minutes, and they only found him for 6 points, considering the game that he had against the Bearcats just a couple weeks ago.
He played so good. UC had to go to the half, and Wes had to say, "Hey, John, you're covering 2 people now. So whoever has the ball between Sellers and Avery, you're guarding whoever has the ball, which is basically what happened. And he did a really good job in that game and did a pretty solid job in this game too. CMOS has, I'm pretty confident in saying he's the guy late now. If you want a guy who can go and get a bucket, it's him. I think what he did at the end, the 2-pointer at the end, was as close to creating as we've seen a UC score do. Just kind of got down low, made a move. I think Jizzles too, with the hesitation, that was a veteran play, and that's something that we haven't seen a UC guard do. I don't think Day can really do that, but that's the yin and the yang of offense to defense between those two. I almost tweeted this, but I thought it was a little too mean. The one where Day stole it and then ran down the court and like underhanded the ball off the backboard, like threw the ball off the backboard, and then John had to get the rebound and then put it back up and in. I was like, he looks elite 1 second and then looks completely out of place 3 seconds later. Like he literally threw the ball off the backboard for a layup attempt.
Well, I feel that way about Dan Skillings.
Oh yeah,
several different times every single game.
This game was a lot of hair on fire. You need to chill out, Dan. Like there was a play in the first half after he had gotten hot where he drove in the lane, stopped, and then tried to like bring it behind his back and then turned it over, and UCF took it the other way.
I feel like he's out here trying to 2K playground.
That's basically how he plays.
All the time, yeah.
He played pickup before he played organized basketball.
Jason, Avery did not foul out of the game. Shamari Allen fouled out of the game. So Marcellus, that was not his issue. He only had one foul, I believe.
Yeah.
Jamil continues to keep building every game. I thought he had a hell of a game tonight. 6 points, 9 rebounds, but his presence down low and his screens are right now. I believe his screens are unmatched by anybody, including John Newman, who probably has the second best screens. But yeah, he's doing everything that is asked of him right now, and I feel like he's playing with an effort that we continue every game. I think is his best effort that we've seen, and that's now 4 straight games, I believe, where I've been able to say that.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing. There hasn't been a second when he's been on the floor this year that you've doubted his talent. Like it's obviously there, and he's proved it at UCF. He's proved it at Temple. But there were some times where it was a question of his motor and whether he like fit in the culture of what UC basketball is about. And I think he's starting to identify with that culture because he's going up for rebounds extremely hard and physical to the point where he's like one of the better rebounders on the team. And he's not just some really tall, really lanky dude. Like he's someone that can be relied upon for that.
Couldn't come at a better time either, especially as you couple that with Vic trending down and you have Jamil trending up. I feel like if there was a time for Vic to be struggling, right now is pretty much the best time for him to be struggling this season, as Jamil is really coming on.
Yeah. Which I think that it's interesting because there wasn't going to be a time this year, I don't think, and this is probably hindsight. It's just something I didn't think about. But I don't think there was ever going to be a time this year where you're saying, wow, Aziz, Vic, and Jamil are all playing super good. Like you were always going to have someone that you wanted more out of because not all three of them can be running on all cylinders, making plays, giving the best efforts every game because someone's going to be missing out on minutes. Before that was Jamil. Now he's just kind of stepping into that Vic role. Hopefully he doesn't start hanging out around the perimeter looking for threes, but I don't think that'll be an issue.
But I mean, you look at those two guys combined tonight for 19 points and 17 rebounds, 2 blocks. That's a hell of a day for your 5 spot.
Yeah, let me look. Let's go to visitor stats. UC pulled down 18 offensive rebounds. Aziz had 4. Jamil had 3. So there's almost half of your offensive rebounds. Josh Reed getting 3, and then Dan. I don't really know how to explain Dan Skillings to people when they ask me about him. He just has a knack for going after offensive rebounds.
The 7'2" wingspan doesn't hurt.
7'2" wingspan. He can jump out of the gym. He plays with his hair on fire. I have no idea. But then he'll like drive into the lane and slip and put the ball behind the back, trying to pass it to Day on the perimeter. You're like, dude, chill out. And then you just see Wes just like
Yep.
But it's the Dan Skillings experience. So
it is that. My goodness.
Yeah.
Anything else jumping off the page for you?
Let me look. 4 steals for Day. Again, you take the good with the bad. Pretty rough offensive night. I would like to see 2 less threes from him, 1 for 5.
I feel the same way about CMOS.
Less threes?
2 of 8?
2 of 8 is tough. 2 of 8 is tough, but he's gonna shoot. You can't tell CMOS not to shoot. You can tell Day not to shoot.
Well, Day being at a 25% clip from 3, I think it was 24 and some change coming into this game. 1 for 5 isn't helping that percentage go up.
Yeah, and I think there was it was back-to-back possessions. It might have been like 2 of 3 possessions where I think it was Day drove in, did a floater, rimmed out, and then a couple possessions later, CJ has the same exact shot, like wide open floater, misses, and then CJ gets pulled out of the game and doesn't come back in. So there's some high percentage shots that Day's getting that are being missed. And I mean, I guess that's the nature of basketball, but it just feels like the easy shots he's having trouble. I think there were a couple times, and I actually disagreed with my buddies who were with me that he makes some layups much more difficult than they need to be. I thought that he didn't, and that it was actually a tough shot. But then as the game went on, I started to see what they were talking about of him just not being able to convert on layups. And then I saw him get the steal, throw it off the backboard. And I was like, yeah, I think you're probably right. Like there's obviously something off there about him and layups.
I wonder how much of that is him having to brace for the fact that he's going to hit the floor, because they abuse him when he tries to go to the hoop. If he's going to the rim, he's going to end up on the floor.
Yeah, and he's so small, but he gets so far off the ground that he's like, this is gonna hurt. Like I'm gonna fly so far through the air and hit the ground. I think there's definitely a little of that going on, and I mean, can't really disagree, but you got to finish those. I mean, there were 3 or 4 layups that he needed to finish, and that's a big difference in the game. But that's been a consistent thing throughout the season. For the entire team, but now it seems like it's kind of trending towards being maybe a little bit of a day issue. But he's in there for defense. He's not going to light up the stat sheet and score 16, 17 points. He's going to get you steals. Offensively, you just want him to not turn the ball over, which I think he had 7 against Iowa State and had 1 tonight. So, and I think that was off a pretty rough CMOS pass, which that turnover got credited to him.
Do you have any more left on this game?
Not on this game. I don't think so.
Well, that kind of brings me to my next question. As we know, Vic did not see any minutes until the end of this game, the very end of this game. He was in for the
5
final
seconds.
possession. Yeah. You have Oklahoma State coming up on Wednesday at 7. The only game in the conference on Wednesday, as Oklahoma State comes to 5th, 3rd. They're coming off of a win today, Oklahoma State, that is, as they upset number 19 BYU on their home court. They scored 93 in that one. That's a lot of points for this Oklahoma State team. That all said, Cincinnati improves to 5-7 now on the season. In conference play, they're tracking what they need to track as we are starting to round out this season. Do you think we see Vic in this next game, and what kind of role do you think he plays in this next game?
I'm gonna have to go with no. I think Oklahoma State has a number 91 defense, according to Ken Palm, number 139 offense. They are 11-14 this season. I'm not sure what their conference record is. I think it's 3-9. 3-9 in the conference, getting their third win today. I think this is and I'm not saying any Big 12 game is a get-right game, but at home against Oklahoma State is as close to a get-right game as you can get, even though they just –
West Virginia might be the only other team that you could really compare that to, but
He'll play.
What are your thoughts?
He'll play.
Okay.
I figured he'd play.
I think today what kind of got in the way was Josh came in that first rotation, and Josh was really good.
Do you think there was a level of Vic didn't play last time against UCF, and we feel like we had a good matchup, so we just okay.
That's Wes said in the post game. That's why he went small to start the game, was because it worked against them last time, and really they had control of the game all the way until that final segment, so it worked. And Josh was playing well, so you didn't need to use Vic as like a supplemental body at the 4. I think it just numbers-wise didn't work out in his favor tonight, but there's nothing nefarious, nothing, some stuff on Twitter that whatever. But no, I expect to see him against Oklahoma State. How many minutes? That'll probably be up to Vic. Because as we have seen now, Wes is not afraid to play him 0.
But back to Keegan's point that if you're going to have a get-right game, even for Vic, I think that Oklahoma State's the team to do it. So whether it's for the team, whether it's for Vic, I think that that's an opportunity for everybody to get right.
It's a really, really tough situation because – and you'll agree with me on this. I don't know if Chad will agree with me on this. It feels like him getting right is him making a 3. I feel like that's basically it. Because it feels like which he struggles with post touches. He's turning the ball over. He's struggling with rebounding. But it just feels like offensively, for him to get right, it's him making a 3. And I don't know how many opportunities you can give him, knowing how close that these games are. So
I don't want him shooting, I don't want him shooting another 3. I don't want any of our bigs right now. Not Jamil, not Aziz, not Vic shooting another 3. But I know that I'm not on the same side as Chad in that argument.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it could just possibly come down to him missing or making a 3. And then that just triggers everything. It gets his confidence back. But right now,
or if he misses it, then he's a basket case the rest of the game. So what do you do?
And then he misses it, and then he just doesn't play. And then you try again next game. And so
I don't want to play that game. That sounds like a terrible game. I don't want, pun intended, but I don't want to play Russian roulette with Vic on a 3 for the rest of the game.
Oh gosh!
You just call it Russian roulette.
He said no pun intended.
Oh no, I said pun intended.
But pun totally intended.
Pun intended. Come on, give me a little
pun
credit.
1,000% intended.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh gosh!
All right. Well, like I said, Oklahoma State, 7:00 on Wednesday. So that'll be the next one to try and get to 6-7, and it sounds a lot better than 5-8.
Yeah, I think I even underestimated how big today's win was for them, because I thought they were going to be like 3 or 4 point favorites, and then the game tips and they're 1.5 point dogs. So to be able to go and win that game was huge, because it was one of the few must wins. I would say West Virginia is a must win. Oklahoma State's a must win. And then you have to beat Kansas State. So you got to steal one on the road. And I think being able to do that and kind of set the tone for what the road plan is, which is get out quick at the start of both halves, which Otzelberger said when they played Iowa State. They just said that's how we pride ourselves. We get out quick. If they can continue to do that on the road and set the tone, it gives you such a cushion. And we've seen that multiple times this season. Such a cushion to get that run early, and then you can withstand some runs from the other team.
It's the best stretch that you have the whole conference slate.
Yeah.
Started today.
7-game season, and they're 1-0. So,
yep. Matt, I totally was Trevin Nell watching before the game. I was watching BYU. So yeah, I know. I can't even. Ugh. That guy.
ugh.
But there's your schedule. Only I don't think Oklahoma's going to be ranked when they play them. I think they're probably done being ranked, if you ask me. So only one ranked game the rest of the way. And that's
Yeah, but
it doesn't take away from Oklahoma being good, but I don't think they're going to be top 25 good.
It'll still be a quad 1 win. So I think like the AP poll, sure, it's good for numbers, or it's good for publicity and stuff, but all you care about is those quad 1 wins, which I don't know if this game is going to remain one for the rest of the season, depending on what UCF schedule is. It might have even dropped out now. What did UCF fall to after that game? They're 66, so they only dropped 1 spot in Ken Palm. So that's going to be on the border, but big win. Big win. Tough environment.
UCF plays both Iowa State and Houston back-to-back to start March.
Hey, you gamblers out there. Remember what those two teams just did to UC, and then put that in the back of your head.
Yeah. All right. I don't know that I have anything left.
Should we? Yeah, we can put out the bat signal for Chad to give his
Final
closing
thoughts.
statement. Yeah. Chadwick.
I'm watching the game. We're up 5-6 to nothing. So we're off to a good start.
Yeah.
This is for first place in the pool to advance to the gold bracket tomorrow.
Wow, that means like a late game. You don't have to wake up early, do you?
I think if they win, they play at 11 tomorrow.
Yeah, that's big.
I can rock with 11. I can rock with 11 way better than I can rock with 8. I'll tell you that.
That hotel breakfast tastes better at 8 than 6, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Boys, thanks for filling in, Keegs.
Yep.
All right. Good luck.
I hope you enjoyed the Grail.
It was fun.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up another Galactic Fried Chicken nightcap. And I guess we will do this again. I think Chad will probably be back on Wednesday following the Oklahoma State game. But Chad and I will be here tomorrow night for another Galactic Fried Chicken episode. That one will just be the conference wrap-up as we record that one rather than going live. But thanks for all who joined us. We appreciate it. And we will catch you next time. See ya!